Oh my god. So, welcome to episode 5 of The Check-In. We just got out of Jurassic World 2, A Fallen Kingdom.
This movie is terrible. I honestly don't think that we need to structure it, because I think we could just keep going back and forth because the movie has such a lack of structure.
Actually, do you mind if I go first? Because I usually go off first. Do you mind if I say my opinions first and foremost?
Yeah, pros and cons, but then let's just go at it.
Okay, pros and cons. So pros, the action is not as good as Jurassic World, but it's the most exciting part of this movie. I like there's basically two big set pieces, the island and the house. I like the house better than the island, because even though the island is cool, it's like a volcano, the house is just the dinosaurs killing people, and like, I don't mind like the rooftop thing, it's fine. I think that as supporting characters go, I like Claire's, girl, chick better than the guy who keeps on screaming, but then they barely have anything to do. And another pro, it doesn't look bad. The lighting, they have some cool, not cool, but they have some okay shadow work. And yeah, that's done with my pros. So cons, I hated this movie. While I might not have, thought it was worse than Suicide Squad, this was the worst Jurassic Park movie. And when I say that, 2 and 3, I don't like those, but I don't even like Jurassic World that much, but I can have fun with them. I can enjoy them. There's no entertaining value, no good aspects about it. It's not good structure, not good storytelling. So at first, all spoiler, all in glory detail.
All bets are off with spoilers, and as if you even need an alert.
I thought the trailers were bad, but apparently they're introducing dino trafficking and dino rights, because apparently now they need to live among the humans. That's what the ending is basically. But I kind of jumped forward. So apparently Claire, who I thought was okay in the first one, if you thought the characters were good in the first Jurassic World movie, they're so unlikable. They have idiotic decisions, and there's no charisma, no character development with them whatsoever. So Claire is doing this riot thing where she's like, no, we don't need to kill the dinosaurs because they need to be respected, even though we kind of created them. They have their rights. They need to decide if they want to live or die. But then they go to the island anyways, and it's okay, fine, here we go. That first act, it's nothing but just saving them, but saving them for the point of what? Of bringing them back to the mansion. But then we focus on this villain who's I guess, okay, I see where we're going, but the old man doesn't want anything to do with it. He's dying. And the main villain is I have a daughter who's genetically cloned, and what the hell is happening? But then it's Blue is now I'm kind of just scattering throughout the plot because I'm trying to actually remember it. Blue actually has T-Rex blood in him because they transfused that. But then it's this new Indominus raptor, Indoraptor, what is its powers? What does it associate with anything? The Indominus Rex in Jurassic World, there was rules. There was okay, it can do this, it can't do that. You have to hide, it can camouflage, it can do so many different things, and you had to actually hide away from this. This it's all bets are lost. Let's just have a party and sell these dinosaurs. Now we have the guy opening the lock because he wants his teeth for a necklace. What am I watching? But besides going a rant, I'll let you go. But yeah, I did not like this movie.
The problem with this movie is that it doesn't try hard enough to contain the elements that it puts down on the page, on the screenplay. As if you could even call this a screenplay. It's almost as if they pretty much took the handbook for screenwriting, chucked it out the window, then took the Mummy's handbook of how to make a Hollywood blockbuster and chucked that out the window. Because the core elements of this is that, number one, the dinosaurs are on this island that's about to explode. Number two, what Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard think they're doing is taking these animals, putting them on an island, and just keeping them there. Are you actually that stupid? You're going with an organization that is saying they're going to do that, but of course, they're going to introduce dino trafficking and spend the entire first half of the movie not knowing what the hell is going on. And they consistently contribute all these different elements into the film that make no sense because They don't know where they're going. They're trying to assert that, well, this is humanity's fault for creating these dinosaurs. So the villain consistently pokes at Bryce Dallas Howard saying, you're part of the system, I'm just monetizing it. And then Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt say, no, but you're the real bad guy. And they Batman v Superman the crap out of it. And consistently, they have all of the motivations of the characters just on a whim. At one point, Bryce Dallas Howard's like, we need to save these animals and I just let them die. But then once you let them live, more problems happen. Then at the end of the movie, no, we do need to let them die. It's the right thing. Nope, let's set them free on the world. Literally, that is the ending. The ending is the little girl of the movie sets them loose on the world. Like, it's one thing for all the traffickers to take their dinosaurs home with them, but the whole movie leads up to that point and the idea that life finds a way. You know what the smartest thing that was said in this movie was? That could have just roll credits right there? Jeff Goldblum, in that bit in the trailer that you see him, they pretty much ask him, what do you think we should do with these dinosaurs? And he's like, I think we should just let them all explode with the island. And I sat there going, yeah, that's exactly what you should do. Emotions is but here's this emotional beat that we're not going to pay off with Blue and Chris Pratt. Oh, but here's this emotional thing about, but they're living creatures. But then in the next scene, they're ripping people apart. So who are we rooting for, and what are we supposed to be doing? Civil War, not only did it show you two different sides of a societal issue, but for the most part, it kind of geared you toward which one they wanted you to side with because it's Captain America's movie. This movie tries to pit it tries to pit two sides against each other, but this movie isn't smart enough to do any sort of societal message. It's not smart enough to put any societal message out there. It just throws different elements in there with very little, what's the term? Set pieces.
There's not that much.
It doesn't even revolve itself around certain set pieces. There's three big ones I can think of.
When I was watching
and that's it.
When we were watching it tonight, questions pondered through my mind. Is this mind-numbing? Is this better than Tomorrowland? Is this better than Solo? Maybe, I don't know. I shouldn't be asking that. I should be enjoying the movie. But do you want to think about your three dumbest moments for this movie? While you do, I'll state mine.
Okay.
So first off, we talked about this on the way over here. I hate when they take a topical issue like an island exploding, and it's happening in Hawaii, it's very serious, and they use it as a joke, as oh, Chris Pratt is tranquilized so he can't move, and there's lava forming around him, and he has to stumble his way around. You can't do that around lava, and it's with the there's no oxygen. What is going on? That's number one. Number two, I love that there's moments where it's oh, who was that? There's big loud explosions or screeches of noise, and people don't hear it. I'll give an example. When they get off the island, they find a truck or a Jeep. They drive into the boat where they're transporting the dinosaurs. They go in there and it's so loud, but yet no one hears them, and they disguise themselves, and it's oh yeah, we're part of the crew. I hate that. That's number two. Number three, they don't explain anything. So it's oh, the little girl that was in the house, that's a granddaughter. Apparently it's oh yeah, we kind of multiply and clone you. Okay, bye. It's whoa, hold on there. I kind of wish that we saw her for the first time when she interacted with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, because it's oh, who are you? A new character, even though it's kind of late in the game. I kind of want to know more about you. But everything we're told or shown, we already know. When she's watching the footage of him with Blue, it's yeah, we kind of know that. And it's oh, he's the bad guy. No, we know that. And so it's what are you doing?
No, all of my dumbest moments come from the little girl. And the reason being
is that... But she wasn't a bad actress.
The reason being is not because of her.
No.
It's because the old guy who's Hammond's best friend, who doesn't... Lockwood, that's his name. He actually does think that they're going to transport them to safety. There's some guy, son, nephew, who is he? He's there with another woman who are apparently raising this child because her mother died. That's this backstory we get thrown in there. But the problem is that once... bad guy in the suit betrays Lockwood without Lockwood knowing, the little girl finds out about it. But that seems like it should be its own film. So it's such a like a D storyline that it doesn't have any significance because we don't know the stipulations of what's happened and what's going on. Second thing that was annoying was the big reveal that, like, oh, we're all monsters. Hammond was a monster. Lockwood was a monster. You know what Lockwood did? Lockwood lost his daughter because the little girl is the granddaughter. So obviously the mother, aka the daughter.
There was no granddaughter.
Apparently the little girl in the movie, that's a clone of Lockwood's dead daughter. But they literally, it comes so quickly, and they try to do it to sort of relate to the dinosaurs, but there's no reaction from the little girl about knowing this. They hint at it because in Lockwood's diary, there's a picture of a little girl with her mother, and they look like almost the same, which also, how were they in that picture if the mother died and then the girl was cloned, because the girl has no mother. And they try to compare her to the big vicious dinosaur because that vicious dinosaur doesn't have any of Blue's DNA, which they were planning on doing because they needed a mother gene and blah, blah, blah. Just stuff that doesn't make any sense. So that isn't an element because they try to weakly compare it and there's no actual payoff. The only payoff I can kind of imagine they were trying to draw a parallel. They were trying to draw a parallel in the climax is my third dumbest moment, which is when Bryce Dallas Howard, finally logically so, there's gas being emitted throughout the mansion and the dinosaurs are all crammed in together and they're all going to die. Bryce Dallas Howard has a chance to free them into our world, mind you, with the humans, and she doesn't do it. Yes, of course, logical. Boom, little girl does it. And then they're like all super happy. The main bad guy dies. But so much of that story is actually really pivotal because Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, they were a part of set pieces. And Blue being transported because they need Blue's DNA. The reason they need Blue's DNA is to put Blue's DNA into this new creation so that it obeys like Blue obeys. But they sell it before they can even use Blue. So it makes no sense. And because of that renders Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard's story completely useless. So the only other significant part is the little girl. And because of that, and then because that's like the subplot, there's nothing we can even go into, and there's so much screen time wasted.
Oh, there is.
There's a cold open that I can't even believe I'm remembering right now because it's so pointless. It's just to get the Indominus Rex's bone.
Yeah.
But the reason they need the bone is so they can make the Indominus Raptor. Like, it's such a long walk
and then
for
the guy
a
was
short
like,
drink of water.
Oh, wait, who is
that winds up being nothing.
Yeah, the guy was like, wait for me. Oh, what's behind me? Uh-oh, chomp chomp. It's like, oh my god.
It's one of those
really
typical openings of the film. And then the ending is the only interesting part because now we're Planet of the Apesing it, where now genetic power has been unleashed onto the world, and now humans and dinosaurs are either going to learn how to coexist, or we're going to Planet of the Apes it, and the dinos are going to take out, the T-Rex is going to speak like Caesar, and then we're going to get war for Planet of the Apes. And then it's just going to end. The world's just going to end in an apocalypse. I have no idea what's going to happen. And Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard take the kid.
I actually now don't mind weaponizing the dinosaurs. I thought it was such a stupid subplot from the last movie. That was just one. Here we have one of like 12, like a dozen that we're experimenting with. This movie is just an experiment. It's lifeless. It's hollow. There's nothing to it. I didn't enjoy it. I don't think you did either. There's just no substance in it. Like, they tried to do the romance where it's like, oh yeah, we used to date, remember that? I'm like, what?
There's an entire scene wasted on that when you hardly get anything in the first movie about that.
They basically, yeah, like you said, there's nothing, it's just too generic. Like, even the audience walking out, they were like, no, there was the worst one, and I like the other ones better. Like, in Jurassic Park 3, so the Dr. Grant, he has a moment, I know you haven't seen it, he has a moment in the beginning where he's going to the island, and he has a nightmare. You know what the nightmare is? And the helicopter is empty, and he turns around, and the Velociraptor looks at him and says, Alan, and it wakes him up. He's like, oh, that was silly, but I laughed and I kind of had fun because it was goofy. I was like, oh, that's stupid. Here, I just said that's stupid without any emotion whatsoever. I was like, no, that's dumb, that's idiotic. It's crazy.
They keep trying to do new things with this franchise, and I feel like the theme, you can't hammer in the same theme. And the theme of man not knowing what they're tampering with and utilizing powers they have no control over, that was done in the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was shown. But now, here's the problem. Now we're seeing the fallout, and they're thinking that the fallout, you can still use the same themes. No, you can't. Because unless you're an amazing writer and director, which they've yet to hire one, you can't. Maybe because nobody wants to do it, you get these writers who think that they're doing something profound, but they're really just trying to do fan service and succeed in neither.
They copy and recreate scenes from the other movies, like in Jurassic Park with the kitchen scene. She's trying to close the door and it's all going. But that was a reflection. Here it's like, oh, I can't do it until he's like a second away, then I can do it. And he can't crash the building.
There's no reason for it to be stuck. She was waiting for just like,
oh my
boom,
God. And like, there's also dumb moments where it's like, oh my God, are we really doing this? When the Asian guy from Jurassic World, he's like, oh yeah, we can just make a ton of these, but I don't want to use any, I don't want to use them. We just need to have them out there. But then the bad guy's like, if we're having them out there, we can use them. So it's like, you both are wrong and stupid, because if you're going to make them, he's going to use them, and then you can't be mad, and it's like, why are you using them? Because he made them. It's like, why are you even here? We didn't need that. And the audience is like, oh, it's the Asian guy. And of course, the black guy dies first in this movie. It's just so typical. Oh, I hated this movie. Yeah, you have anything else to offer?
I don't think so. I think that's the main.
We might cut it short. Like, maybe it's not as long as the other podcast, but we just want to talk about this movie.
That's really it. Like that's all the main stupid moments, and we could go into detail, but if you haven't seen the movie and you're listening to this,
and please,
there's no point.
Please, just like when the credits are going, just go. You don't need to stay. There's an after credit scene that's like a second long. I'm not even going to tell you what it is because you don't need to know. It's so like unimportant to the plot because you already know what's happening. It's like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah. It's not even worth talking about it any more than we already have, and exerting more energy than we already have. So,
grade?
C minus trash crumble.
C minus trash crumble, 4 out of 10. Like, it's right above Solo for me for this year. I'm like, oh my God, it was.
Yeah, this was mindless. The first part was just dumb. The first part was terrible. Second half was dumb and terrible, and there's really not more that we can say about it.
Just stupid.
To say,
stupidly
like
bad.
They say in the movie, run.
Well,
and as usual,
thanks for
listening. And before you go see a movie, check in with us first.
Please don't see this.
Bye.